For the pledge. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jeff Hughes, Lackawanna County Sheriff's Department Deputy. Jeff is retired United States Marine who served under the rank of Staff Sergeant. Towards the duty includes 6 years active duty in North Carolina, Japan, California, Australia. We were all over the place. 2 years in reserves and Medal of Merit, including the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. Thank you for your service. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we just stand for a moment of silence? We've had 2 bad train crashes in the last so many weeks. Let's just have a moment of silence for the 2 Amtrak employees that were killed and the 100 people that were injured. They're in their thoughts and their prayers as they're recuperating from their injuries, and keep those 2 Amtrak employees' families and friends in your thoughts and prayers as they're going for a horrible time of their lives. Just a moment of silence. Thank you. Thanks for coming in, and thank you for your service. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, I'd like to bring this Board of Commissioners meeting to order Wednesday, February 7, 2018, 10:05 a.m., the Commissioners' Conference Room. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes. Do I have a second? Roll call? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 18-0038. Small Business Spotlight. Here you go, Commissioner.
They'll be rescheduled, yeah.
The other ones are,
The other 2 will be rescheduled, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. And we have Honky Tonk. Who's here from Honky?
Tony, like to come up to the,
Back. Hey, Tracy Ann.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
I started my business in 1988. We opened on 200 block of Drinker Street. Originally it was Loop's Diner, and then we had remodeled, changed to Chaplin's Restaurant. And then around 15 years ago, I moved up to the top of Drinker Street and opened up Honky Tonk.
Nice.
It's been 30 years, so
Wow.
still going.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for sticking to it and having a successful business. I know it's not easy, and it's really interesting. I mean, do you have like what are those dances they do where they're all in one line? The line dance?
Yes, yep.
Do you have a lot of that going? Like,
We do
is
a
there
lot of that.
competitions or?
Once a week they do line dancing, and we have different kind of entertainment, and it's fun. People really seem to enjoy it.
You don't have one of those, what are the cows? What do they have? The mechanical
mechanical
bull?
bulls. No, no
Electric
mechanical
bull. Urban Cowboy.
Yeah,
I don't.
that'd be
It's
fun
Honky
though.
Tonk.
John Travolta's coming up, right?
Exactly. Oh,
that'd be
And,
great, yeah.
What's her name? Winger,
Deborah.
Deborah Winger.
Yeah.
Deborah Winger.
Well, thank you so much, and very proud of to have you here at our meeting, and good luck in the future and future success for forever. Are your kids involved? Do you have children?
Yes, my daughter's involved. My wife, my
Family is
yeah,
involved. See,
yeah.
that's a great story.
area.
Okay.
I was telling Fran about that today. It's a wonderful place, and they do a great job, and they have a lot of faithful customers.
Yes,
come
we
back
do.
every single day.
Yeah, every day for
Every day.
30 years. Yeah.
Good job, and thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Sweet. You and Debbie,
Yep.
high school sweethearts. You began, all this began
Graduated 87 and we opened in 88.
in '88. Well, you stayed on Drinker.
Wow.
You stayed on Drinker Street the whole time. You had the Loop Chaplains, and now your current
Honky
current place.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You know what I mean? And I understand it's. I know you love your work, but it's hard work. And if the dishwasher doesn't show up, you're the dishwasher. Something needs to be cleaned up, and the waitress isn't able to, you're out on the floor.
The worst jobs are my job usually.
Yeah, because a lot of times you get your hourly employees might say, "No, I'm not doing," it," and they'll leave on you. But no, congratulations! You know, congratulations on the rave reviews. Everybody loves your place, and like I said, it's a family thing. You got your mom, your sister, your wife. Everybody works there. You know what I mean, it's like lifeblood. You know what I mean, your customers are like relatives that are coming.
Like
in, you know?
family.
Yeah, but congratulations. Let's talk about where's the station. I know most people in Lackawanna County knows, but what's the address?
763 East Drinker Street. top of the hill.
Now, do you do like takeout if somebody want to buy a pizza and take?
Takeout, delivery,
What's the phone number?
570-961-2328.
Tony, thank you for coming in. Like I said, this is what matters. I mean, it's about small businesses in Lackawanna County. You know what I mean? 4 or 5 and plus the time employees you have.
I wouldn't make it without them, without the employees, but that's for sure. You know, that's the backbone. You know, so it's been good. It's been great.
But congratulations, we have a certificate and Commissioner Cummings.
Certificate of recognition, the County of Lackawanna Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize the Honky Tonk Restaurant in honor of achieving the designation of a small business spotlight in Lackawanna County, given this 7th day of February 2018 by Commissioner Patrick O'Malley, Commissioner Jerry Notarianni, and myself, Commissioner Lorraine Cummings. Come on up, sir.
Thank you.
I always go over this end, but I do, I guess. Come on.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
I appreciate
And I will
it.
have to stop up. So
Tommy's in Arizona right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, lucky him, right?
that's
Is he really? Who's gonna buy those guys lunch today?
I know. Sorry.
On 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 more, 1, 2.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Who's gonna pay for lunch today?
Appreciate it. I know. I
You
don't know.
gonna run a tab for him?
Yeah,
until
you know what he
gets
does? He
back?
leaves an open check for me when he goes.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Tell your wife and
careful
daughter and
out
mother
there.
we said hello.
Well,
And to the viewing audience, just so you know, they're open 7 days a week.
Wow.
I'm next.
So,
That's a lot of work.
thank you, Tony. Have a good day. Okie dokie. Okay, Chief of Staff Andrew Wallace.
At this time, I have an announcement to make that on Friday, February 2nd at 10 a.m., at the County Commissioners' work session, a discussion was held regarding purchase of real estate at 1360 Wyoming Avenue in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Present at the meeting were Commission Chairman Patrick O'Malley, Commissioner Jerry Notarianni, and Commissioner Lorraine Cummings participated via telephone conference call. Also in attendance were Chief of Staff Andrew Wallace, County Solicitor John Serra, as well as Chief Financial Officer Tom Durkin and Budget Director Kevin Mitchell. In regard to this discussion, I'd also like to announce that that a public comment period will be held at the next County Commissioners meeting before a vote is taken by the County Commissioners on February 21st at 2018, whether or not the county should purchase this property. This action will be taken in regarding an important project which will acquire a property to be used as an extension of the prison facilities for the purposes of criminal justice matters such as relocation of Central Court and the ability to greatly reduce the transportation of prisoners for hearing of incarcerated defendants. This facility will provide essential services in a safe, secure, and appropriate setting for everyone. The public is invited to comment on this purchase at the County Commissioners meeting on February 21st prior to a vote by the County Commissioners. Thank you.
Does the board have anything they'd like to say?
Can they know what the location is, or do they just
He already,
say that?
he said the
Say
address already.
Yes, I did. 1360 Wyoming
Sorry, I
Avenue.
missed that. I apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Notarianni?
Nope.
I'd just like to say that this project goes through in the next 2 weeks. It's an opportunity for more safety and more efficiency in Lackawanna County government. Okay, opportunity for the public to address the board.
Mary's here yet. Good.
Agenda items.
That's why I made
Joan
one for you.
Hodawana, it's 220 Linden Street, Scranton. With regard to Resolution 18-0032, the Sheriff's Collective Bargaining Agreement that runs through 2021, the next 4 years. I was looking at that, and at the proposed pay raises of 3.5% for the first 2 years each year, and 3% for the last 2 years each year, which comes to a cumulative raise of 13.65% over 4 years. Also in that agreement, I noted that on major holidays, they get triple pay, and there are no increased contributions towards their health insurance by the employees through 2022. Now, I know that the sheriffs do valuable work and they're worth the money we pay them. I've also saw Resolution 18-0034, which is the collective bargaining agreement for the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees through the year 2022. 3% each year for a cumulative total of 15.93% over 5 years. And they too are worthy of what they get paid. They do important work. However, that needs to somehow be balanced against the people who are going to pick up the tab for those increases. A large number are employees in the private sector who don't see those kind of pay raises, as well as retirees, people that may be living entirely on Social Security, who saw their first COLA increase of 2% this year after 2 years or so of nothing, and have no guarantee that next year they'll get a COLA increase. So when you discuss these resolutions, please discuss the impact on long-term budgeting, over these 4 and 5 year periods, and, what this is going to mean to the taxpayer who doesn't get these kinds of increases in their income stream. Also, Resolution 18-0033, rejecting the proposals to purchase this building. I'd be interested in knowing what your plan B, if any, is. You're going to rebid the sale of this building, or what is the plan? And last but not least, well, I'll get to that the next time because it's not on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Johnny, do you want to answer 18-003, the rejection proposal?
Yeah, when you get to the...
Okay, well, okay. Okay, got it. Okay, 18-0037.
This is approving current payables. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the following payables from the Lackawanna County General Fund, numbers 256883 through 257976, inclusive, totaling $4,183,890.61. Electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $7,431,000.84. And our Controller, Gary DeBilio, is here if there are any questions.
Gary, everything good?
Yes, Commissioners, everything on the agenda has been audited and already approved.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. DeBilio? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve current payables. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 18-0030.
Entering into an agreement for the workers' compensation claims third-party administrator. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby entering into a professional services agreement for workers' compensation claims third-party administrator with AmeriHealth Casualty Services, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for a 3-year term to commence April 1st, 2018, and end on March 31st, 2021, at a price not to exceed $3,250 per month, with an annual $3,000 administrative compliance fee. And we're happy to have our risk manager, Rick Jones, who monitors all of our insurance contracts, here to explain this.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today's resolution will authorize renewal of the county's current 3-year workers' comp third-party claims administration contract with AmeriHealth Comp Services, who has been the county's workers' comp TPA since 2009. Our annual workers' comp third-party administration fees for the proposed 3-year renewal are an additional $3,000 a year, or $42,000 a year, versus the expiring $39,000 a year contract. As I've said, we've been with AmeriHealth Comp Services for the last 9 years. Prior to this year, we did 3 RFQs in 3-year segments, and they were the successful vendor in each of those 3 RFQs. Their services and their pricing is extraordinary, and they also are the third-party claims administrator for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Several counties throughout the Commonwealth SEPTA, which is the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transit Authority, and the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. They do an excellent job, and we have a tremendous working relationship with them.
Great. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Jones?
You did a good job in explaining that. I was just going to ask you all that, but thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Commissioner Notarianni? I'd like to make a motion entering into an agreement for workman's compensation claims for third-party administrator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
18-0031.
Awarding a drug and alcohol audit be resolved. Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby award the Lackawanna County Drug and Alcohol Audit for the year December 31st, 2017, ending to Michael Barbetti, Dunmore, at a cost not to exceed $11,000 a year. And our Chief Financial Officer is Tom Durkin is here. If there are any questions on the audit.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
As I've done over the past couple months, I'm once again asking the Commissioners to renew an engagement with Michael Barbetti and Company, who has done the drug and alcohol audit for the last 2 years. They've done an excellent job. They also do our BHIEDI, formerly known as MHMR, and it's a really good fit that the same auditing firm does both agencies because they're so closely related. So I'm just asking the Commissioners to approve the renewal of the engagement with the Barbetti firm for this year.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Durkin? I'd like to make a motion awarding the drug and alcohol audit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani? Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Tom. 18-0032.
Approving a sheriff's collective bargaining agreement. Be it resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the collective bargaining agreement between the County of Lackawanna Deputy Sheriff's Association to commence on January 1st, 2018, expire on December 31st, 2022. And our Deputy Director of Human Resources, Justin McGregor, who was one of the key people who negotiated this contract on behalf of the county, will basically outline some of the provisions of this for the commissioners that benefit the county.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
With respect to the comments earlier, we did in fact have the taxpayers in mind when we went into negotiations. The sheriffs are subject to Act 111 binding arbitration, which would mean that had they, had negotiations not gone well, they could have gone to arbitration and possibly gotten these increases or maybe even more. So again, with the taxpayers in mind, we thought it was the best course of action to negotiate and negotiate in good faith, and we did. And not only did we have the taxpayers in mind, but we also had in mind restoring positive labor relations. So those were major points of our policy strategy. As far as the deputy sheriffs, their contract is 5 years, 1/1/18 to 12/31/22. There is no change to health care. The increases are 3.5% in 18, 3.5% in 19, 3.5% in 20, 3% in 21, and 3% in 22.
Does the board have any questions?
I'll have comments afterwards.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the sheriff's collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
No.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Okay, 18-0034.
Commissioner Cummings, you're going to
Or do you
state
wanna-
your reasons later, because when we vote no on an item, we just want to put it on the
State it
record.
right now. I think
Okay.
I was looking for, for more concessions in regards to part-time staff in all environments, not just in the sheriff's department, but, do you want me to address both, or just the one? You want me to wait?
You can do one at a time or do both. It's up to you.
Why don't you let him go? I was just waiting for
Okay,
the other one.
that's
Wait until
fine.
after both of them
I
are
just
done,
wanted to
and
make
I'll
certain
have
if
my
you wanted to
commentary.
say- okay.
Thank you, Chief of Staff.
Okay, 18-0034.
Again,
I have to read the resolution
sorry,
first,
Andy.
Mr. McGregor. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the collective bargaining agreement, enters into a memorandum of understanding with the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, District Council 87 for Lackawanna County prison employees to commence January 1st, 2018 and expire on December 31st, 2022. Mr. McGregor?
Again, the prison bargaining unit is subject to Act 111 binding arbitration. With the taxpayers in mind, we essentially didn't want to roll the dice and have a award come back that would be more than what we successfully negotiated. Again, it was our intention to restore positive labor relations, and I believe we did that. In the prison contract, it is 3% over 5 years, 1/1/18 to 12/31/22, and there is no change in health care.
Okay, does the board have any questions? Okay, I'd like to make a motion approving the AFSCME collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
No.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
On the question for the, now are these the final negotiations that we've had? All the union contracts are done and negotiated at this point?
We have currently one other contract, SEIU, that has
wow,
to
there you
be
go.
ratified.
First of all, I do appreciate the work that everyone's done on both sides of that issue. I had no part of it in it, none. I had one concession that was provided to me that still has not been achieved. We have just locked 5 years of union contracts. We have another administration coming in, and we've locked them into mandating them to provide a budget that we didn't even meet this year. So it's very disappointing. I was looking for 60 part-time staff at the prison. I was looking for health care benefits to have been paid by, put some type of payment from the staff themselves into the health care system, like the rest of the country, and people are losing their insurance all over the place. Yes, Joan, I appreciate the comments you made, and I agree with them, and I'm happy to see that someone out in the public is actually reading these, which they will be posted up on our website as soon as they're signed, correct? The new contracts, the old ones are there, so these should remain there for the people to be able to read. And I thank the commissioners for allowing that and voting with me on that. I have extremely large respect for our law enforcement. Obviously, we're all proud of the work that they do, and we appreciate the sacrifices that they make. But it doesn't negate the fact that there are people in our county that are hurting and continue to hurt. Now, I'm happy to see that our economy is now finally improving, but we don't know what it's going to be like in 5 years, and I don't think that it's fair to lock another administration into a contract that they can't even vote on, which is what happened to us when we first came in. I thought that I would have much more input in this contract than I did, and I didn't. Well, I'm the minority commissioner, I get it, but I resent the fact that I'm told that, well, they'll go to the arbitrator and the arbitrator will side with the unions. Well, then why have an arbitrator? I mean, what's the point of this whole entire thing if we're just going to lose in the end anyway? What's the point? You might as well just say, here, unions, whatever you want, just ask us and we'll sign away on it. Because obviously we're going to lose anyway in the end. I mean, what's the point? This is taxpayers. This isn't us that they're hurting. This is the taxpayers that they're hurting. They're not hurting us. This is taxpayer dollars. It's not our money. And, to say that we somehow restored positive labor relations, I'm sorry, but that's not the goal of anyone. It should never be to restore positive labor relations. It should be to be tough and to restore positive relations with the taxpayers, not labor relations. The taxpayers are the ones we're supposed to represent. We're not supposed to be a friend to labor relations. We're supposed to oppose them and to get concessions for the taxpayers. And Justin, I'm I appreciate all, I know you work very hard, and I'm not condemning any of your work. I'm just saying, please don't take it that way. I'm just saying that I'm sure if I were in that room, it would have went to arbitration. And then I would have brought it to the public and said, listen, you have to pay more attention to the arbitrators. How did they get in their positions, Donnie? How did the arbitrators get their jobs?
They're usually
Can you say it in the microphone so they can hear it on the TV?
They're usually attorneys or judges that have retired and they're in their field, in the labor field, and they're agreed to by the parties. So they're private contractors. They're not really appointed by anyone, but the
How
parties
do they get
will agree to
hired?
them.
Who do they go to get a
The
job?
union and the employer would agree on which one to use. There's a list of them out there that people that are out there in the private contracting world, and
How do they get on that list?
they just advertise. They go out and say, we've been X number of years in the labor industry, and we're available for arbitrations, and that's.
Do they
how
have to have certain qualifications?
Yes. Well, they do. Yeah. I mean, you want to pick somebody who has some knowledge and has been around the area in a long time. Yeah. But I mean, they tend to be more labor oriented.
Do they have to be judges and lawyers?
No, most of them tend to be, though, because a lot of times you're dealing with legal issues that come up in these contracts that you want somebody experienced that can, voice an opinion.
Thank you very much. May I suggest to the business community out there that if you own a business and you would like to volunteer or get hired as an arbitrator, maybe you should get involved in this negotiation process. It shouldn't be those that are always on the labor relations side. And I'm not sure how they decide on who they're going to pick. Do they look back on how if they're a judge or an attorney, do they look back on cases that they've done and maybe try and find someone that's more favorable to union negotiations rather than the government?
Yeah, the parties have to agree on an arbitrator. So normally is what would happen is...
Would we as the commissioners have had to pick that arbitrator? Or who picks the arbitrator if we did end up going to arbitration?
It would have to be an agreement based upon the county and the union. So in other words, usually the union will present a list of 3 arbitrators.
The union presents the list to us?
No, then we present a list of 3 arbitrators.
Oh,
and
okay,
we come
got
to
it.
an agreement between the parties as to who the arbitrator should be.
So then...
The parties can't agree is what they will do is pick a panel of 3 arbitrators where the union will pick 1 arbitrator, the county will pick an arbitrator, and then the 2 arbitrators will pick a 3rd neutral.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
That's kind of how it works. So.
Should have done that. I would have gone to arbitration with all of them, because every single...
The thing with arbitration is it's the same thing with dealing with a legal case. When you take it to a jury, you don't know what result you're going to get.
But why is it that everybody's so fearful that it's going to be, the result is going to be worse for the county and the taxpayer?
We've seen some in the past, Commissioner, that have resulted in much higher increases. And then you're stuck with that. When it's binding arbitration, whatever the arbitrators say, that's what you get. They can compose an 8% increase on you.
Well, that's the threat that's put to our HR and to our side. Oh, well, we're done, we're going to go to the arbitrator. Okay, go. Well, that's what I would say. Well, fine, go ahead. And then bring it out to the
Sometimes it
public.
doesn't, yeah. Sometimes
See,
it doesn't work out for
only
you.
thing, the only thing beyond what Donnie's saying is this: if it goes to the binding arbitrator, there's things that Justin can talk to you about it after me. There's things that
I want the public to know how it works. I'm done. We have no say. Our
no,
hands are tied.
I'm just saying this. There's probably certain things that he got in the contract that saves us money here and there. You know what I mean?
Something that
There's
saves us
things
money.
that, you know what I mean? I'm sure there is, because I know that we talked about some of the things.
No, they come and they ask us for all this other stuff.
But so, like, if
That's silly stuff that
if
they know
go to
that we're not going
binding
to give them.
arbitration, right, he has no say whatsoever. And one person, say, our people stay in one room, the union stays in the other, and the arbitrator's in his own room. And then they just go back and forth, and you really don't.
I think, Commissioner, that historically, particularly in most recent years, it has been much more expensive to go to arbitration than it is to settle it. And when you go to arbitration, you're unaware of what's going to occur, as opposed to having a set plan so you can adjust your budgets accordingly. And we have been, historically, have lost in those arbitrations repeatedly. And it's cost us more money than if we didn't negotiate it.
What Donnie
correct?
just said, Donnie.
Yeah, correct. I mean, and with negotiations, you have some control over what you're dealing
Right.
with. I mean, so you have to come to an agreement with the other party. I mean, you can go to arbitration if the arbitrators grant an 8% or a 10% across-the-board increase. You're stuck with it. You really can't do anything about it. And
So what irresponsible arbitrator would do that? Because they're retired? The system is wrong. You know what, then this whole
Well, the
system is
system's
wrong.
You're right.
The system is wrong. Who came up with these things? Of course, probably the unions. I don't know. I don't know, but
since the 1930s, it's been developing, so it's a long process.
it's very frustrating. And to the taxpayers, I think there should be more people standing at this podium like Joan, complaining about the fact that we just locked into a 5-year contract with 3 to 3.5% raises across the board every year, and no payments to their not one dime to their benefits, nothing.
Well, again, negotiating is a lot of give and take, and I would say that Deputy George, who's the president of the union, didn't get everything that he wanted, and both sides worked very hard on this agreement, and through negotiating, you have more control. I think it's always better policy to negotiate rather than go to arbitration.
Justin, maybe you want to point out for the record that all county employees pay toward their health care benefits.
Yes, all county employees do in fact pay towards their health care benefits.
Well, why did she say that they don't? Where did she read that in there?
There's just no increase to the health care costs in these contracts.
So, okay.
That's true. There's no increase, but they do.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is true. But I don't
Sorry, all right,
want the
I
record to
correct that.
reflect.
All right, I'm sorry,
I
I
just want to
correct
make
myself
certain
on
that the record is correct on it.
I thought maybe she read it in there, now they don't have to pay it. Because I didn't, like I said, I had no say in this contract. I had I had asked for specific things, and I didn't get them. I wanted my 60 part-time employees at the prison. That's what I wanted, because the prison is costing us a fortune. And, didn't get it, because they just don't want, it's just, we don't get any concessions. I don't get this. I don't understand. I thought I would have more input in these, and I was looking forward to, trying to help in this process to make sure the taxpayers were assisted in some small way. And they weren't. It's same thing. Raises, every single contract has raises in it. There's not, people out in the public aren't getting raises. The private sector's not getting, well, now they are. I shouldn't say that. Now they are, that President Trump is out there doing what he needs to do. This I just don't agree with. I wish I could have changed it. I appreciate all the work that you all did. I think it was, I don't think it was very effective, because in the end, there's a power grab here that I just think needs to stop. And for the taxpayers to be, their hands are tied by those negotiating, who they don't even know are negotiating for them. It's not us. It's our departments that negotiate, and our attorneys, and I know that they try, and it must be frustrating to sit there argue. I'll tell you, it must be frustrating sitting there listening to what these people are requesting without wanting to just reach across the table and shake them and say, what was wrong with you? What are you thinking, really? What are you asking for? These are taxpayers. This is your 80-year-old grandmother that you're asking to pay these things, not us sitting up here in suits, Anyway, I do appreciate the work you did, and I hope you don't take that I'm condemning you. I'm not. I know that it's frustrating, but I just wish we had gotten more, and I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to do anything better than what we accomplished, so that's the reason I voted no. Is that good, Andy? Work for you?
Thank you, Commissioner. I know you wanted to state it for the record. Thank you. I know you wanted to state it for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought we got part-time workers, but we didn't.
Right.
You did.
Well.
Okay. Commissioner Terry, anything?
I stated what I cared to.
Okay. This isn't towards anybody's comments on the dais here, previous comments. I'd like to thank our Sheriff's Department and our Corrections Officer staff. Our world is so different today when you're in law enforcement. People's lives are on the line every single day of the week, and a lot of law enforcement agents are getting killed in the streets, and I'd just like to thank them for the great job they do, and I'd like to thank all of our corrections officers across our country. there's, you know, I mean, they're really unsung heroes, and no one knows what goes on behind the walls. Where there's a lot of things that you have to do, from being care, custody, and control. It's just a very scary environment. But I just like to thank them for the job they do, and especially our law enforcement that's in the street. You know, they're our first line of defense against terrorism, and you know, like I said, the world is so much different than it was 20 years ago. Just like to thank everyone, but that's it. 18-0029.
This is for an appointment to the Lackawanna County Conservation District Board. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby reappoint the following individual to Lackawanna County Conservation District Board: Commissioner Laureen Cummings, 200 Adams Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania, for a one-year term effective immediately and expire on December 31st, 2018. And by way of explanation on this, a county commissioner is required to sit on the county commissioners, County Conservation Board commissioners. And the Conservation Board has actually requested that we reappoint Commissioner Cummings. They said she has been one of the most active advocates ever to serve on that board in the history of the Conservation District, and they welcome her coming back. They asked me to state that at the meeting.
Oh, wow.
When Commissioner Cummings was appointed to this, and the option was for anybody on this board if they wanted to be appointed to this, Commissioner Cummings did take it. And I never would have thought that she would have really, you know, I thought she would have, you know, worked with them, but I didn't know that she would actually, she likes the board. So it's, you know, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
You thought I'd kill somebody, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be scary. Besides the point. But these appointments are options for any one of the three of us here would like to do it, so. But I'd like to make a motion for the appointment of Lackawanna County Conservation District Board Commissioner Cummings.
I second it.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thank you so
You're
much for that. I appreciate it. And I enjoy the work because they do very good work. I mean, they do
You
some
got
things.
understanding what they do too, like, you know. it's
People
something-
aren't aware. I'm trying to get them some more PR because people just don't know what exactly they do. It's, you know, and some of the things I don't agree with, and
Best board
we lock
member
horns, but
We also have
I love the job. I love it.
She's really
So
good.
thank you.
It's great. 18-003.
This is a motion to reject proposals received for the purchase of a county administration building located at 200 Adams Avenue. And it's actually a motion to reject the request for proposals that we received. And County Solicitor Don Frederickson, who has been instrumental in this, will be happy to explain our reasons for doing this. And if there are any questions I might be able to answer, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. Well, we can explain. We did a request for proposals regarding this building, selling or disposing of this building. We received back two proposals from two different proposers. Both of them included multiple options, the majority of which was them purchasing this building and then us leasing it back from them. Our Revenue and Finance Department ran the numbers on that, and it didn't really make a lot of economic sense. So what we're suggesting is that those proposals be rejected, which is an option we have under the proposal. We can reject those options, and then we place the building out for a straight bid or a straight purchase to consummate once we vacate the building in favor of the Globe Store, or the government center.
Does the board have any questions?
And I, for the record, too, I did notify the two bidders because they both came in and met with the Board of Commissioners that the county was contemplating taking this action, and neither one of them really objected to it. So I do want to state that for the record so that you know that.
Thank you, Chief Wallace, Solicitor Frederickson. Does the board have any questions? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to reject all proposals received in the purchase of the county administration building located at 200 Adams Avenue, Scranton, and to be placed in the building for public bid. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley, might I also state, by way of explanation, we do plan on re-advertising this publicly within the next 30 days. This will be a sealed bid. It will be received by the County Controller's Office, opened publicly, and there will be conditions put on it. It will be just for purchase of the building, and it should be strongly stated that part of this is the property will go back onto the tax rolls. So we
And
were
there will
trying...
be a stipulation as to the minimum bid on this building?
That hasn't been totally decided yet, but that certainly will be taken into consideration, a minimum bid. That certainly will be taken in. It hasn't been drawn up yet. We're meeting with the solicitors, and we have a realtor who's giving us some advice on it, too. But we'd like to get this done within the next 30 days, and it has to be done prior to conclusion of 2018. We want to sell the building and get the money into the county budget. Since we did budget during our county budget, proceeds of this building into the budget. I do want to state that, too. Thank you.
Anybody else like to say anything? Okay. I'd just like to mention that, when we started this process to consolidate all county government, that this building, we were making sure, no matter what, that this was going back on the tax roll. In this building, we will be signing some sort of contract in 2018 that this will be taken over in 2019. This is something that a lot of other governments, when they vacate a building, that's the last thing they're concerned about. That was the first thing on our agenda when we were starting the process of buying the Globe Store in the past of it. We wanted to make sure that this building was going to be vibrant, part of downtown Scranton. You can't beat where it's at. It's right off Courthouse Square. It's a great building. It has great historical value, and I hope that lots of people come in and bid, and I think whoever gets it is getting a great building in a great location. And I think the citizens of Lackawanna County will be very happy with whoever takes the building over. So, okay. Opportunity for the public to address the board.
Joan Hodawanis, 220 Linden Street. You pushed my buttons, so here I go. Going back to this Act 511 mandatory arbitration, I've sat in many city meetings where their contracts have come up for renewal, and I hear the same argument. We don't want to go to arbitration, we're going to lose. Statistically, if arbitration were fair and impartial, the government would win half the time, and then unions would win half the time. Right. When almost always the unions win, it's not impartial, it's not fair, it stinks to high heaven, and I think it's well past time that we relook Act 511 and see what's wrong.
Hear, hear.
This is not fair to the taxpayer, and this is not holding anything against unionized employees. They're excellent workers, and we depend upon them. But do you know how tired I get when I see teachers go on strike? They don't lose a penny of pay, and they're not at risk for losing their jobs. If you're a nurse at Moses Taylor and you pull that stunt, you may not be invited back in the building, and you don't get paid while you're in strike. I mean, it has gotten so out of control. Do the government employees work for the public, or is the public working for the government employees? And we've lost perspective here.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that they don't have a right to raises and even arbitration, but if you're looking at the record of arbitrations going against the government entities so often, it's not passing the stink test. And I look to you legislators and I look to the rest of the public to say, let's go back and relook Act 511. Look at the history, what's happened with pensions and everything else. And who's picking up the bill? Taxpayers, many of whom are not getting paid. I mean, this is a low-income wage area, okay? You got so many elderly retired people on fixed incomes. It's just not right. And I'm sorry, but it's not passing my stink test. Okay, so I vented. But I did have a question. All the three taxing bodies know whether or not they were going to increase taxes, including the school district. It's been some time. Why don't I have my property tax bill in my hand yet?
I was asked that
What's the bottleneck getting those out to the public? Anybody know? Or do we need to send Mr. DeBilio down there to kick those people into fourth point of contact, and tell them, get a move on? Supposedly, you have till the end of February to get the discount. Is that correct? Well, isn't today February 7th? What's their problem?
They did it last
year.
year.
Or do they get a holiday and they have a contract that, well, they don't have to work it past 3 o'clock or something? What is the issue? This is the computer age. Information, bing-a-bang-a-boom, let it be written, let it be done, send it out in the mail. I don't understand what the issue is. If they did not know, or you did not know, whether you were going to increase the millage or not, that's one thing. But we know, and it should be, what, a 24-hour turnaround? That's how fast computers work, at the speed of light. What is the problem? When am I getting my tax bill? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Think so.
Send you down there.
They're in the process of being sent out. They're working on
I've
them
had
right now.
multiple calls on this. Multiple. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's 101,000 tax bills, and they did make some adjustments and some technical changes on them, but they're really not late by way of the time being sent out. They are going to be sent out now.
You know what we got to do? Let's do a follow-up and make sure that whatever way they go out, that they're getting 30 days from whatever the day they get it
Yeah.
on.
We'll
So
suggest that to
Make
them,
sure
right,
of that, because
'Cause she's
it happened a
right,
few
yeah.
years.
I agree with her.
No, so
I
we
agree with
should
her, yeah.
make
But
sure of that.
we've been working with them to get them out, and I know they're in process right now.
I mean, it was the same thing last year, though. Like, I got
You're correct, Commissioner, it was.
the same complaints. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, well, but I agree, Commissioner, if we're going to give
No,
them
we
30
did last,
days.
yeah, it's got to be 30
We
days.
we extended to make it sure it was
Yeah,
30
we'll-
days on the discount period.
Let's
For
do-
for the county taxes, you can only address.
Yeah, let's do a follow-up so we make sure
Correct,
that, so no
correct.
one say whatever they possibly
We'll make
say.
certain of that for you.
Okay, Commissioners, other business. Commissioner Cummings.
Do I really want to talk about any of this today? We have a snowstorm. I don't want to hold everybody up. I'll feel guilty. But I have to respond to some of this stuff. I'm sorry. Joan, I really appreciate you coming in here, because otherwise it would just be me up here griping and it wouldn't get in the paper. But you're here, so now it will. So- Thank you. Thank you for coming in. And I, too, think that we have our police forces, our heroes, our sheriffs, our heroes. But, there's got to come a time where we actually look at the fact that, yes, we love you guys. You're doing a great job. But you know what? We don't like the union negotiations in the process because it's not fair to the taxpayer. And everybody has to start to understand, as Joan said, they've got to start looking at that rather than creating this, I don't even know what to call it, this backlash of, or idea that somehow we don't care about our local heroes. Of course we do. And that shouldn't even come into the negotiating process, because that's ridiculous to say that we don't care about our local police force and the sheriffs and because we don't want to give them a raise. That's a ridiculous statement. It's just a way to try and pull at the heartstrings of the citizens to try and make them feel guilty as well. Sorry, but no, that's not right. Shame on people that use that as a way to chastise people that are trying to help the elderly and lower income families here trying to make a living, on wages that don't hardly meet the mandates of their own expenses, which, doesn't mean that they're overexpending. It's just difficult. Life is hard sometimes. And, they have to understand that there are people out there that just cannot afford these kind of increases. And sadly, I don't believe I was effective. I'm hoping that somewhere in this there's an effective change that I was able to provide to the taxpayers. We'll see. We'll see. But otherwise, I apologize to the citizens for not doing a better job on that. Speaking of the prison, we had a very good meeting with Core Civic, and gentleman's coming back. Did we set the date on that?
He's tentatively scheduled, Commissioner, for February 22nd, but he's bringing a team of people in, and by process, all of the people have to be cleared before they go into the prison, and after he goes in and meets, then he'll be issuing some tentative report
I don't
to
want
you.
this background check to hold up his date.
It's not going to hold it up. It's routine. Anybody that goes into the prison has to have a
I
background
can
check
pull a
done.
background check up on them in 3 minutes. Just go right online, pull it up, it's done. There should not be any holdup on bringing
I'll
it
tell
in.
the warden that you want it expedited, but he is aware of it.
Okay, well, I want that set, like, it was set, it's done, let's have them in here.
I
Don't
believe it's
hold
going
it
to be
up.
on February 22nd. I believe that's
The
the date.
22nd.
I believe that's the date they requested.
Lena, is that, because I have the 24th on here. Oh, that's January, okay, got it. So the 22nd is the date, all right, good.
22nd.
That's on the record, February 22nd. Okay, good. Yes, here it is, sorry. Background checks, okay. And for the general public, this is to look at privatization of our prison in some form, either through purchase of the building or just a complete privatization of it. We're going to know more then after they give us their assessment. And there's 2 other companies that are also interested. And because of the results of these contracts, I'm going to forge ahead with pushing that issue as hard as I can. And I'll stop at that with that one. I would like to congratulate Mr. O'Brien for the commissioners awarding him his arts and culture grant or whatever his organization got. You ready there? Ready? For the record, I have called Mr. O'Brien to try and congratulate him, and he has not returned my calls. So I will do it here. I wanted to have him come into the meeting, and he hasn't returned my calls. So congratulations on your award and for your organization winning that. I do not know Mr. O'Brien. That is where I'd like to start, because the statements I was upset about was the statements that he made on my reasoning for voting no on this grant. Because it had nothing to do with the executive director whatsoever. I don't know him. But apparently he feels that it does. I can understand that, I guess. If you're the executive director of an organization, you would take it personally. But unless he came in and spoke to me and discussed it with me, I really don't feel it appropriate that he assume my reasoning for it without even talking to me about it. And I gave him multiple opportunities to do that, and so far he hasn't returned the call or attempted to come in and speak to me. So that's the issue I took with it. Nothing about him personally. I just want to be clear about that. There was never any targeting of any specific group for any specific executor or anything to that matter, just so the public is aware of that. I was very clear to state that I, in fact, am opposed to taxpayer dollars being spent on an organization that specifically states in its mission statement that it provides bold and uncensored programming. Period. That's it. That was it. If you go back to the video from our last meeting, you'll hear me say clearly that I give credit to this organization for actually admitting this in their mission statement and being the only one to do so. I did state in the meeting that I heard from other artists that complained that there were even more groups that showed programming that I might consider to oppose, which I said in the last meeting I met with the director, and she did confirm that, and I will be opposing those as well. So it won't just be this one organization. I did say that in the last meeting. However, it got lost in the, what did the city council meeting call it? A kerfuffle? Mr. Evans? Anyway, so how this young man can continue to state that I'm somehow opposed to him personally, in my opinion, is the defamatory statement. Do you get it now? Like, does that make sense? That was the sole frustration I had with him in his Facebook posts. So, yet again, I do not regret my stance on this issue, never will, won't deviate. I do not like taxpayer dollars providing funding for any organization that promotes any type of programming that I would not want on my television set or in my home. That's just the way it is. And if in fact this young man, yes, if in fact this young man actually believes I was any way targeting him personally, it was most certainly was not my intent. This subject is very personal to me. It may be hard for some people to understand, but I've been fighting against R-rated programming since cable TV came out. Now, nobody here, that people that don't know me, probably wouldn't remember this, and younger generation does not, I'm sure. But any of you remember 1993 when NYPD Blues first came out on TV and the protests that were down on Montage Mountain in front of WNEP station there? If not, Scranton Times could look up their articles on it, and they'll see this commissioner standing there in her pink coat and with her sign, 20-some years old, opposing NYPD Blues programming. You remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with any person, and it, most certainly how they equated it with the LGBT community is beyond me. I don't know how that came into play, but that's like the farthest stretch that you can make. I mean, I am talking about programming that I disagree with. I completely disagree with R-rated programming, taxpayer dollars, using taxpayer dollars for R-rated or any kind of programming that would be, in my opinion, not appropriate. And they state that they want it to be bold and uncensored, so that's what drew my attention to that one grant. So, I mean, the way I feel about it is if people want to pay for it, fine. If you want to pay for HBO and you want to pay for Showtime and you want to pay for this, great, so be it. Knock yourself out, watch what you want. But when NYPD Blues came out and they showed, the first time there were ever a naked silhouette on the television, I mean, kids today probably figure this was always on TV, but it wasn't. This kind of stuff wasn't on. You turn the TV on today, you just want to throw up. You can't even find anything that's actually worth watching. I can't anyway. The worst thing that ever happened to cable was bundling, because now you can't even fight and say, we aren't going to pay for this specific channel. Now they all get paid for through bundling, and nobody really knows who gets the high-rated, who gets a lot of programming, and who doesn't, who's actually watching these shows. So the advertisers have to advertise on all stations, I think, unless they get, I don't know what kind of numbers they, Andy, do you know how that works, where they come out with the numbers of the ratings? Because they bundle everything now. So they'll base it on that. Anyway, like I said, it's fine for people to pay for it, but just as people don't want me to shove my religion down their throat, I don't want you to, shove any of this programming in my face or my kids' faces. And, parents can't be around their kids 24/7, so it's very difficult to be a parent today. And, back in the 90s, I just knew what it was going to lead to. I mean, like I said, you just look at the television, you'll see what it led to. It's disgusting, the stuff that they have on TV. So call me what you want, but I was right. I did my part to save our kids from the disgusting stuff that Hollywood has so willingly put in our homes. Why? I don't know. I don't know what their end game is, but it most certainly didn't make our society a better place to live. If anything, it has made our society worse. And yes, I do believe it's harmed our children. It's harmed our society, and I think that those of us still fighting, all of us parents, well, the ones that we're just a bunch of old-fashioned bigots and hypocrites in the eyes of our kids and the younger generation. We owe that narrative to, we owe it all to Hollywood, who's pushed it to the limit in our living room television sets, and the elites that teach in academia, and for what? I have no idea. But I can guess that they would say that it was all in the name of what they call progress. I do have kudos to Mr. Tom Borthwick for writing an excellent blog on this topic. Now, mind you, I disagree with almost everything Mr. Borthwick wrote. However, he did a fairly accurate description of the actual events that occurred on this topic, unlike the childish, narrow-minded Facebook posts and Scranton Times Tribune commentary that did nothing but throw disgusting, sexist, defamatory, and derogatory filth against the wall to see what sticks. Tom Borthwick actually wrote a logical and well-written blog that provides the reader with the ability to debate the topic and presents the opportunity to have a discussion on the topic. So, Mr. Borthwick, you get it. And if you're ever willing, I would be willing and inclined to sit in on an actual roundtable discussion with you and anyone that you might believe would be also willing to sit down at it. Maybe David Yonkai would step in. But what say you, Mr. Borthwick? You willing? Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Commissioner Notarianni?
Just to Joan's point, this board cannot control the binding arbitration laws. So until that can be resolved on a different venue, these are the rules we have to live with too. Well, and again, and you're right. So I mean, I think that's where you should probably start your argument. But if historically we have lost, and we are trying to save the taxpayers money. If we don't negotiate in good faith, it's going to cost more money for the people, and that's not what we want to have happen. So we can't control what the arbitration laws are. We can do what we can do. We can't control everything. There's a lot of things wrong in the world, and there's only so many things that we can do. We're allowed to deal with by the law. We're not in charge of the law. It's a sad situation. There's no question about it. It is what it is. We have to deal with it. So that's what we try to do, the very best job we can to do that. That's why we did what we did. Okay? Thank you. Excuse me.
Okay. Just want to remind everyone, most of the schools are closed today. There's free sleigh riding up at McDade Park, so make sure you get up to McDade Park. Lots of snow up there, lots of fun for the kids to enjoy the hill up there. The hill's great. I'd like to just bring up one thing. I saw this in the paper today. I'd have to bring it up. They're making a stamp after Mr. Rogers. And I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, they would be watching like Electric Company and then watching Sesame Street. And they were like shows where like there's more activity. But when Mr. Rogers came on, you actually sat down and you were absolutely quiet. And he was soothing, and it was education, and it was wholesome, and it was good for the children. And he did it for 30 years, and I think they still show repeats. And I know my kids, we actually have some videos of it that my two sons have watched them. But Mr. Rogers, the Land of Make Believe, and showing you how to tie your shoes and putting a sweater on, and just the calming effect. And a lot of kids, they might not, their parents are doing stuff in the house. When Mr. Rogers came on, you absolutely and utterly learned something. And I think it's great that they have a stamp for Mr. Rogers, and I think that his impact was immense on from 30 years of children and the way they grew up. So Mr. Rogers died in 2003, died from cancer, but he's a great man, and I think it's great that they have a stamp.
He's actually a Pennsylvania resident too, Commissioner.
Yeah,
He's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pennsylvania resident too, but great that he's on a stamp. Like I said, the impact is still being felt on what Mr. Rogers did over those 30 years. So, just like to bring it up today. What a great man. Yeah, and the trolley to go to the make believe. Yeah, the king. Well, there's the stamp.
I had lunch with him in the Senate dining room, Commissioner.
I had
yeah.
lunch. I actually was at a Presbyterian church up in Clark Summit, and the mailman was there, and he was there to talk about Mr. Rogers and the Land of Make Believe. It was pretty cool, and I have pictures with my kids. It was a couple years ago, but I just wanted to bring that up because I thought he had just such a good impact on generations and families, and just good wholesome,
Gone
good
are the
old
days
times.
of Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Can I just hang on one second?
Okay, good. We go anywhere.
We were looking for the opioid, the kids that won the opioid contest, the video opioid contest, and I couldn't find it.
We could do it at the next public commissioners meeting if you want, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'd like to just,
Right.
I'd like to
We'll
say
do it then, yeah.
congratulations, yeah.
We'll do it at the public commissioners meeting.
Thank you. That's it.
Motion to adjourn,
Yeah.
second. All in favor? Aye.